What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. I know it has been a long time since I've posted a daily recap, so I hope everybody is doing well and that your trading has been going well and improving day by day. It is Tuesday, August 17th, and I've got another daily market profile recap for you for both the ES and the NQ futures markets. So let me waste no time at all and dive into the market profile here. I will pull up my market profile levels and we will dig right in. All right, so now that I have the key levels properly pulled up, we will start with ES. I will go ahead and get rid of these couple lines here, and we will dig right in, starting with the prior range high, my first key level that I was interested in, at 44.7650. Second level that I was looking at was the overnight high, just below that at 44.7225. Next level was the overnight point of control, all the way down here at 44.54. And the second to last level that I was looking at was the overnight low at 44.46, followed up by the prior range low. That was the range low from yesterday of our 44-point range at 44.43, 44.42 area. So you can see that just before we get into the NQ levels here, you can see that the overnight profile didn't even get up to yesterday's range high, and today's range high didn't even get through the overnight POC. So very interesting thing to note there, and we will get into more detail very shortly after we get into the NQ levels. Starting first and foremost on the NQ side with 15,139, which was yesterday's high, just like we looked at on ES, followed up by the prior initial balance high at 15,112. Third level was the overnight point of control that also coincided with the value area high from yesterday at 15,074. The second to last level on NQ that I was looking at, just like ES, was the overnight low. So you guys will notice here that I have the overnight low marked at 15,032, but when I was writing my trade plan, that was where the current overnight low was, and we actually moved down about 15 points to this 15,014 level. So the overnight low was indeed one of my key levels, but it was at a different spot when I wrote my trade plan, and you can see that my last level was actually 1521. So if I wanted to extend it a bit, I could have used these levels as key levels as well, which I believe I did use as targets in my trade plan. So let us scroll down a little bit and we will get into the analysis pre-market. So let us get into the pre-market analysis in regards to the overnight inventory first and foremost, which was short on both ES and NQ. Okay, so if I pull up my levels here, go refresh, you can see that I have settlement right up here, 15,133, coinciding with the overnight high, and all of yesterday's price action, or I'm sorry, all of the overnight price action was indeed below the settlement price. You can see that on NQ. If I go ahead and pull my levels up here as well, settlement is right up here at 44.74, and once again, all of the overnight price action is indeed below settlement, which means our overnight inventory is short and sellers were in control. So the higher probability, typically when we have a 100% short or 100% long inventory, is for the New York session to come in and fade that overnight inventory or correct that overnight inventory. So when the overnight inventory is short, the higher probability is actually for New York to correct that, and we see some buying pressure in that following New York session. Now, if we don't get picked up relatively quickly, then the likelihood actually shifts to the downside. So you can see that we moved down here. This was our overnight low. We opened up right in this area. So let me zoom in. Let's find O period. You can see we actually opened up right at the overnight low right here. And then we proceeded to trade a little bit above the overnight low, a little bit above the initial balance high from yesterday, but we could not get above the overnight point of control. Now, if we cannot move and hold above a major level like the overnight point of control, typically a bearish sign, and that is telling us that the higher time frame players or any large players are not interested or not viewing price at a fair value above this level or even at this level for very long. Now, we will move over to NQ just to show you guys the same thing here briefly. So you can see we're not even as close as ES was to touching that overnight point of control, but same situation here. So if we zoom in, let's find O period, which is our open. So same thing, we opened right around the overnight low. So you can see, boom, O period right there. That's the overnight low. Price moved up, probed into the value area into the overnight lows from the 15th into 16th session, but we could not get to the value area high. We couldn't get to the overnight point of control. And again, very bearish if we can't move and hold above at least the overnight point of control in the following New York session. So moving into or further into my pre-market analysis, at the time of writing, we were looking to open inside yesterday's range and value on both indices near the overnight lows, which we just discussed, which, even though sellers have been in control, means that there's currently a higher likelihood of bracketing or ranging price action until a major level breaks and holds to one side. Based on this, today I was looking at the overnight lows on both NQ and ES at 15,026 and 44.47 respectively. So you can see once again, I actually was kind of writing this trade plan as price is moving down. So I mentioned the overnight lows at 26, and by the time the market opened, the overnight low ended up at 15,014. But the idea is the same. You know, it doesn't really matter what price the overnight low is at. It's that level. It's the idea that if we cannot move and hold above the overnight lows, that is not bullish by any means, and I will look for downside pressure. And that's exactly what happened. So if we can move and hold above those levels, I was going to look for a correction of the short overnight inventory to the upside once again and move to the overnight highs or prior range highs. So my thought was, if we can move and hold above this overnight low, then we were looking at a move to the overnight POC, overnight high, prior range high. We did not get that, of course. However, if price could not move and hold above the line in the sand levels, I will indeed look for directional conviction to develop to the downside with a break and hold below the overnight lows at 15,026 and 44.47. So I'll quickly flip over to NQ. You can see 44.46 was the overnight low. We peaked above 44.53, couldn't get above the overnight POC. See you later, right down to our naked point of control, which we should have closed. I'm not sure why that is still registering as a naked POC, but you can see that it did indeed stay open, which is interesting. And that's from this August 5th session. So we'll consider it closed. Sometimes NinjaTrader, there we go. It's at 44.1150, that's why. Okay, so that is where I was looking towards as one of our lower levels, and we hit that almost to the tick, as you guys can see. So just to reiterate here, I was indeed looking for downside directional conviction to develop if we could, or if we did move and hold below the overnight lows, which is exactly what we did. If we do break and hold below those levels, you can see that I wrote here in my trade plan, look for a possible move towards prior range lows on both ES and NQ. Here's prior range lows, and we pushed through prior range lows, not by too much on NQ, but by quite a bit more on ES actually. So you can see that here. I just realized that I was scrolled up, so I'll just read this one more time. Based on this, today I'll be looking at the overnight lows on both NQ and ES at 15,026 and 44.47 respectively. If we could move and hold above those levels, I was looking for a correction of the short overnight inventory to the upside once again, and a move to the overnight highs and prior range highs. However, if price could not move and hold above the line in the sand levels, I will indeed look for directional conviction to develop to the downside with a break and hold below the overnight lows. If we do break and hold below those levels, look for possible moves once again to prior range lows. Now, let's scroll down a bit and just reiterate real quickly. You can see I was looking at the overnight lows, 15,026 at the time, actually 15,014, and 44.47 on ES. We can move and hold above. I was looking for a correction. If we could not, I was looking for a continuation. Pretty simple stuff when it comes down to it, you know? So let's really keep this short and sweet. Let's dig into the targets, and we will see what kind of levels got hit in regards to our key levels and our targets in our trade plan today. Starting first and foremost, of course, with the line in the sand level, the overnight low on ES, 44.46, 44.47. Our first upside target was 44.54. We got very close, within 2 ticks. First upside target was indeed the overnight POC. We did not reach that, as I have mentioned many times in this video already, and we proceeded to sell off. So you can very clearly see that 0 of our upside targets got hit. Again, we got within 2 ticks or so of our first one. So we can move right into the downside targets at 44.44. 44.44 was a very quick downside target below the overnight low. That was a prior overnight high from the August 11th into August 12th session. The next downside target was 44.41, another previous overnight low. That was the August 15th into 16th overnight low, or Globex low to be precise. The next downside target was 44.33, and that was the prior range low, and we did indeed move into that. It took us a little bit after the opening 1 hour range, or the initial balance. If you guys are familiar with the initial balance, that is the opening 1 hour range, and it can be seen on the profile here, plotted by these green TPO markers right here. So below that 44.33 level, I was looking at 44.30. That was a prior range low from the August 12th regular trading hour session. Just below that, I was looking at 44.26, which we had a lot of confluence at. We had an overnight POC from the 10th into the 11th. We had a value area low from the 10th. We had another overnight POC from the 9th into the 10th. We had a POC at 25.75 from the 9th. And if we go back even further, we had a value area low from August 6th. So a lot of good confluence there. And I actually didn't add that 44.11 level because that was quite the extension, but that was another fantastic target. And you can see once again, this was the POC from the August 5th session. We had good confluence there. Overnight low from the August 9th session as well. So a lot of good levels, a lot of reasoning for price to move down there, absorb liquidity from previous weeks, previous sessions, and then move right back up into yesterday's session, as you can see right here. So now let us scroll down a little bit. We will move over to NQ, starting with the line in the sand level. So I'll make this a little bit more clear. I'll draw a box from 14 to 26. Let me make sure I'm at the right spot here. 26, perfect. Okay, so this is technically where I had my line in the sand level, and this is where the overnight low was. So we'll call this the overnight low range, and we'll make it a little bit more clear just so you guys can see, you know, the actual line in the sand that I have here on my trade plan versus where the overnight low was and where my marker was on the chart. So very similar to ES, you can see that we did actually get one upside target hit on NQ. That was the 15,049 level, 15,048, 15,049. I rounded up here. This was the POC from the August 12th session. And of course, you know, I was looking for further upside, 1561, 1574, but we did not get that because the bears were clearly very much in control today. So we moved up, we hit that first upside target at 15,049, which, to be fair, you know, was a 20-point move or so and gave us good opportunity on the upside, but you had to take profit quickly, or you had to sit on your hands and wait for that short opportunity to present itself. So we only had one upside target hit on NQ, and if we move into the downside targets, you can see that we had a lot more action to the downside. So once we moved below the overnight low range, if you will, and I will replot that for you guys. Boom, there we go. So once we moved below this, it basically opened up the possibility and the probability for our downside targets. And you can see that our first downside target, 15,012, again, just doing a little bit of rounding here, 1511.75, that was the point of control from the August 11th session. That was our first downside target, so that was very, very quickly hit. Our second downside target was actually down at 14,996. You can see that was a value area low level from the August 12th regular trading hour session. Third downside target I was looking at was 14,983. You can see 14,983 was the overnight low from the prior session, August 11th into August 12th Globex. Last but not least, and this is kind of just me speaking off the cuff, thinking out loud here, I should have added more downside targets to this NQ trade plan, or this part of the trade plan, because we had basically larger sessions yesterday. So that, you know, opens up a little bit more opportunity for some more volatility. So with that said, our last target was right below 983 at 976, another overnight low from the August 10th into August 11th Globex session. So if I wanted to add more targets, I would have used this guy right here, 63. I would have used 41, and you can see that was also yesterday's initial balance low. And then I probably would have used 14,917. So if I wanted to add a few more, I basically just go down the list of our recent relevant profile levels and use those as targets. So all in all, we had immense opportunity. What I will do real quick for you guys is I'm going to zoom out, and on this down move, I'll show you how well our opportunity zone strategy was working. So you can see here that this is the opportunity zone. When we are trending, we use this opportunity zone. We get long inside the opportunity zone, and we manage our risk below the opportunity zone. and we get short inside the opportunity zone and manage our risk a little bit above it, especially if we have good major levels. So you can see basically price broke down, the opportunity zone crossed. These are moving averages. These M8s crossed to the downside, and we began rejecting. We even put in some bearish divergence here, and we could never put in a higher low and continue to flush down. So boom, rejection, 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 rejection from the op zone. This barely got in the op zone. If you were feeling frisky, you could have taken that one. And then here, this kind of formed a bit of a bear flag, right? So if you see here, you can kind of draw it like this, and you can see price broke this level very, very clearly, and then began kind of ranging a little bit, and that's when we finally got the reversal. So you can use this opportunity zone, if you will, to allow you to keep the trend or keep the market environment in mind, I suppose you could say. And what I mean by that is if price is clearly living below the opportunity zone, then you know that we're very likely in a downtrend. If the moving averages here are kind of curling and crossing back and forth like they are here, you know, this, to be fair, was a little bit of a bear flag, and that was a valid setup. But when you see something like this, you know, okay, well, perhaps we are going more into some bracketing or some ranging price action, and it's not time to use the opportunity zone. It's time to use, you know, things like divergence at or around major levels with higher lows. So I just wanted to show you guys that a little bit. I hope it helps, and can show you how you can use the market profile analysis and the bird's eye view from the profile to keep the idea or the context relevant, and then, you know, use your candlestick structure or use your regular tools that you use on your candlestick charts to give you, you know, some more precise entries and good risk management areas. So all in all, bears were in control for most of the day, but we did get a nice bounce towards the later afternoon after Powell got on the mic and was finished speaking. But again, you know, I like to finish way earlier than that. So I try to be done, you know, after the first couple hours of the open. With that said, I hope that this breakdown, I hope that this market profile analysis is helping you guys in your journey. Again, I apologize for the lack of content lately. I'm really going to try my best to get some more content out on a regular schedule in the very near future. And I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this content, like, subscribe, and leave comments to let me know what you think about the videos that I make. If you guys do like what you see, please feel free to like and subscribe down below, of course. And please check out the links in the description below, where you can find a link to our free Facebook group, where I release these trade plans on a daily basis at 9:30 a.m. Eastern every day for the ES and the NQ futures markets. You can also find a link to our website down below, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can learn more about one-on-one mentorship with me. You can learn more about joining our private Discord group, where you can watch me trade live on a daily basis, again at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. You can also learn more about the Trading Network proprietary indicator package and the different bundles that we offer, which include the Trading Network proprietary indicator package as well as the fundamentals of futures trading course. The FFT course, for those of you guys who are not aware, is a comprehensive course that discusses multiple trading strategies for varying market conditions. So I teach you how to use my opportunity zone strategy, which is my trending strategy, and I teach you how to use the momentum flip, which is my ranging strategy. I go over trading psychology, I go over technical analysis, fundamentals, and much more. If you guys are interested in anything that I have discussed product-wise, or if you have any questions about any of the analysis that I've discussed, please do not hesitate to reach out anytime. You can leave a comment down below. You can shoot me an email, info@thetradingnetwork.io. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Discord. Any way you can get in touch with me, I will be happy to get back to you as soon as possible and help any way I can. Thank you guys immensely once again for taking the time to watch these videos, and I will see you in the next one.